Hideo Kojima's OD continues to be one of the most mysterious projects in gaming right now, because we have both some very interesting officially stated details and years of rumors floating around online that have only made expectations about what this game might actually be even bigger. And honestly, this project does not look like a normal horror game. Even now, it already feels like it is going to go far beyond the boundaries of a classic survival horror formula. We are going to get into all of that in a second. But before we get into the details, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Let's get started. If we start with the official side, OD is a horror project, and Kojima does not describe it as just a game. What he says is that it is going to feel like a game, a movie, and a new form of media all at once. And that is really where the most striking part of OD begins. Because Kojima openly says that he wants to test the player's fear threshold, and that this experience is going to be different from the things we already know. Jordan Peele being involved in the project makes that feeling even stronger. We already know how powerful he is when it comes to psychological tension and disturbing atmosphere through works like Get Out, Us, and Nope. Kojima working with Peele makes it feel like OD is not going to be a horror game built just around jump scares, but something more psychological, disturbing, layered, and mentally unsettling. The trailers we have officially seen so far support that idea too. The first reveal was built more around face scans, actor performances, and the overall tone. But then the later OD, Knock teaser completely changed the conversation. Because of the knocking sound, the dark atmosphere, the candles, the facial expressions, and the deliberately censored text, people immediately started getting strong PT vibes from it. And that is already one of the biggest theories around OD today, that this game is not officially Silent Hill, but it could be the spiritual continuation of the psychological horror language Kojima captured years ago with PT. Especially after the teaser shown in 2025, a lot of people started thinking this could be a much larger scale, more cinematic, and more experimental version of PT. That is not officially confirmed, but it is definitely one of the most talked about possibilities online. Another huge rumor is that the game's old working title really was Overdose. And this is not just some random guess, because back in 2022, leaked footage online allegedly showed Kojima's unannounced horror project being referred to as Overdose. In that footage, there was supposedly a character walking through dark hallways with a flashlight, and at the end of the video, people claimed the name Overdose appeared along with a Hideo Kojima game. The most talked about part of that leak was the camera perspective, because according to the claims, the leaked footage showed the character from a third-person camera angle. But in some early reports, people were also talking about the possibility of a first-person option. So theories started popping up that OD might not stay locked to a single camera perspective and could even switch viewpoints depending on the type of horror moment. And that led people to think the game might have a design that changes based on the experience, rather than sticking to one fixed structure. That old Overdose leak also created another rumor. For a long time, people said the character in the leaked video looked like Margaret Qualley. But when OD was officially introduced, Sophia Lillis, Hunter Schafer, and Udo Kier were the names pushed to the front. And that is exactly why, even now, some people still think Margaret Qualley could secretly still have a role in the project. There is no solid proof of that, but it is still one of those fan theories that refuses to die. If we look at the official cast, Sophia Lillis, Hunter Schafer, and Udo Kier really do give the project a very distinct feeling. The energy of those three names is very different from one another, and that makes it feel like OD may be far removed from a standard one-note horror narrative, especially with how much the trailers focus on faces, expressions, and performance. It really gives the impression that the game is going to be heavily cinematic. I think one of the most interesting rumors right now is the theory that OD may use a fragmented structure instead of one straight story. Because after Ode Knock was shown, Kojima said that the word knock was the subtitle for his section, and that immediately made people think of another possibility. Could this game be made up of separate chapters dealing with different styles of horror? In other words, instead of one single campaign, are we going to get some kind of horror anthology shaped by different directors and different creative visions? That theory grew so much that a lot of people have now started seeing OD as some kind of anthology horror experience. And Kojima using phrases like the Avengers, for the creators involved in the project, only fed that idea even more. The biggest interpretation that came out of this was that Jordan Peele might just be the beginning, and that every major name could bring their own understanding of horror into the game. If that is true, then OD may not be a game that moves in one consistent tone at all, but something with a horror structure that constantly changes form. And this is where the wildest rumors online start to kick in. In some reports and comments, names like Mike Flanagan and Sam Lake have also been mentioned as possible people connected to the project. Some people even went further and started guessing other big film names too. None of that is official, and that absolutely needs to be said clearly. But on the rumor side, the idea that OD could be a kind of horror laboratory where major creative names come together is circulating in a very strong way. How OD is actually going to play is still the biggest question mark of all. Because Kojima says this is a game, but at the same time he also says it is going to feel like a movie and a new media form. And that is exactly why some commentators think OD is going to be something very different from the classic move forward, solve puzzles, run from enemies formula. Maybe the real point here is going to be the way we experience fear itself. Another major theory is that Microsoft and Xbox cloud technology are going to play a very important role here. Kojima said from the very beginning that he wanted to use the power of cloud technology in this project to create something that had never been seen before. Officially, we still do not know what that actually means, but people took that and ran with the idea that OD could be a cloud-supported experience that works across devices and maybe even creates a form of interaction strange enough to unsettle the player outside the screen itself. So according to some theories, OD may not be a game that is just trying to scare you on the screen. Maybe it could be an experience built around sound, timing, connection methods, the player's reaction, and the atmosphere it creates at moments the player does not expect at all. Especially with phrases like, for all players and screamers, and the theatrical structure of the teasers, the idea that the game wants to deliberately blur the line between passive watching and active playing has become even stronger. For people wondering why this game has still been shown so little, there is also an important detail here. It was explained that OD's actor and environment scanning processes were affected by the SAG-AFTRA strike in 2024. So the project has not just been quiet for the sake of mystery. It may also have gone through some real development slowdowns for unavoidable reasons. And that helps explain a little why we still have not seen full gameplay. The picture is just as foggy when it comes to the release date. There is no official date right now, and it does not really look like a game that is coming out anytime soon. But even so, expectations are still very high. Because every time Kojima talks about it, he reminds people once again that this is not going to be some ordinary horror project. That is why people have started asking less, when is OD coming out? And more, what exactly is OD even going to be? The possibility I find strongest is this. OD is not going to give us a traditional horror game. I think we are more likely going to see some kind of hybrid horror project that brings together psychological tension, performance-driven acting, cinematic storytelling, a fragmented structure, and maybe even experimental technological ideas. And because of that, it is probably not going to be possible for everyone to have the same reaction when it comes out. In fact, Kojima himself seems to position the project as something unusual enough that some people may love it while others completely hate it. An atmosphere carrying the spirit of Silent Hill, P.T., like psychological pressure, an anthology format, contributions from different creative names, unusual cloud-supported gameplay, and a structure moving back and forth between cinema and games. When we put the biggest OD rumors and official statements side by side, this is the picture that comes out. And honestly, it sounds both incredibly ambitious and incredibly risky. But is that not exactly what people expect from Kojima anyway? My own view is that OD is either going to create a truly unforgettable break in the horror genre or lose some players completely because it is seen as too experimental. But whichever side ends up happening, one thing already feels obvious. This game is not going to be forgotten like some standard horror title. Because there are very few projects that can generate this many theories, this many rumors, and this much debate before they have even come out. Do you think OD can really do something new for the horror genre, or have the expectations just gotten way too big at this point? Do you think this game is going to be more of a PT-style psychological horror experience, or is Kojima trying something completely different here between game and film? Be sure to write your thoughts in the comments, and if you liked the video, do not forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.